technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to By the Bay. I am your host, Dan Ancheta, and I'm grateful that you're here watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you might be watching or listening to the By the Bay podcast. I have a return guest today, a longtime friend, Gina Isola, is here. I just found out right before we started recording. I've always said Isola like a Z, but it's not. It's an S. So Gina Isola is here. She is an escrow officer at Fidelity National Title here in Petaluma and Santa Rosa, kind of covering most of Sonoma County. But your office is in Petaluma.
My office is in Petaluma.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you were on the show a number of years ago, and I'm excited that you're back. We were just saying like how the studio has evolved over the years, and thanks for coming back on the show. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me back. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely. So you've been with Fidelity for about a year now?
I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary.
That's amazing. And then you were in the Santa Rosa main office up on Bicentennial?
I was.
And now you're down here in Petaluma?
Yes. I live here in Petaluma, and so the manager in Petaluma needed another escrow officer and recruited me to our office. So it was kind of cool because now I have a 5-minute commute.
That's perfect.
But I go up to Santa Rosa all the time.
Right. So you're serving
Signings,
kind of Sonoma and Marin County, I'm guessing.
Wherever I'm needed, I go.
Totally. So we were talking, and I was, first topic is you're an escrow officer, but a lot of people refer to you as like a title officer, but
Correct.
you're not a title officer.
Not a title officer.
And there's a difference.
Total difference.
Can you educate us on what the difference is
100%.
between an escrow officer and a title officer?
100%. So I'm an escrow officer, so I am the middle person between the real estate agent and the lender. So we're like a money holding house, if you will.
Okay.
So we receipt in all the funds, we disperse out all the wires, the payoffs, all of those things, and I'm the neutral third party. So that way you don't have sellers, potentially arguing with buyers.
Right. It's like this switch. Okay, I'm going to hand you this money. You hand me the keys. 1, 2, 3, go.
100%.
It's like, no, not like that.
100%.
You sit in the middle, collect all the money, and then disperse it all out.
But I work closely with our title officer, and my title officer is Mark Encinas. He's amazing. He has a really incredible title career. He's been in the industry longer than I have been. And so his job is to work with me on the title issues that maybe need to be cleared that are above and beyond what I can do on my own. So maybe there's something that needs to go to our underwriting, which is a little bit different than your underwriting that you guys have in lending. But we have an underwriting department as well. So maybe if there's items like construction or maybe there's an uninsured deed. So that means somebody who just went to the county and recorded something without title insurance as an uninsured deed. So things like that, I would work with him. So he's on the title side of things. I'm on the escrow side of things.
Okay. So we had one just this morning that had on the preliminary title report, there was a child support
a judgment
that was on there. And so it was back from like 10 years ago, but it's still there. And so I guess that's going back to the title officer, right? Because they need to see if that's still in effect and if it should come off of the prelim, or if we need to provide documentation that shows that he's current
100%.
With his child support. So that's the type of stuff that a title officer does? He
or she would. But us as escrow officers, we would probably just reach out to whatever child support county and request either a matured installment, or they would just say, hey, this case is closed. We'd get a zero demand. We'd send whatever is needed to title, potentially record something at closing or get something post-closing to record. So it's case by case.
Okay.
So if it's a lien, a judgment, I would work with
the title officer, but you might do the investigation as the escrow officer.
Or say your last name is Dan Smith.
Okay.
Super common name. We might need something that's called the statement of information. We would have to get a little bit more information from you than the average buyer and or seller to clear any potential liens or judgments under that name.
Right, because you're doing a name search, and if it comes up super common, then you might have something like, hey, what is this? We get that on the like OFAC list, right? So you have to clear it to make sure that they're not a fraudster or a criminal or something like that. If you happen to have a name that is affiliated with some criminal activity or whatever, you might wind up on that list. Anyway, so always it gets cleared because there's a second level of identification that we have to provide.
Correct.
That shows
And
that that's not the person.
A lot of them come back clear.
Right.
Like I just had one, it had a hit for a judgment. It was an old credit card that went, and they filed a recorded judgment. So they couldn't clear the statement of information. We had to pay off the judgment in escrow.
Got it.
Easy
so
peasy.
These are basically for those who aren't in the industry. You might have something on your title report that prevents the lender from being in the primary kind of first position, right? So before a lender will make a loan against your property, they have to make sure that there's nothing else that it comes before them. There are a few exceptions. Federal tax liens go first, county tax liens go first, and then some easements and other things might, kind of
Informational
matters. Stuff beyond on that. Yes. But no, like first mortgage lender is going to go on title and take your house as collateral without clearing all the stuff.
All the other stuff.
Right. So if you have a mechanics lien, if someone did work at your property they never paid for, because you're disputing, we see this sometimes. Like, hey, I never played that guy because he messed this up and messed that up. Well, he filed a mechanics lien.
Got to take care of it.
And now you have to take care of it.
Yep.
And whether you take care of it now or 10 years from now, you got to resolve that somehow.
Or cleaning up a chain of title is a really common thing. So maybe you went to an attorney, you thought something was being done properly, they recorded a deed, it was a trust situation, maybe somebody passed away, but they did it incorrectly. We're having to do that a lot, where we go in and we clean up the chain of title to make sure the proper parties that are supposed to be signing are the people who are in fact vesting out.
I'm sure this gets convoluted with inherited properties multiple beneficiaries and who is actually like multiple legal documents and who is actually entitled to act as their attorney in fact and other things like that, which gets complicated.
It's very complicated, but we're skilled at what we do.
So this is why you need a really great team
Yes,
that understands
100%.
this and that can like decipher it and look at the documents and tell you where you are and what you need.
And I will say I do it a little bit differently than some escrow officers. So some escrow officers kind of have their preliminary title reports set on autopilot to kind of just go out to be emailed, which is fast and it's great. But what I do is I kind of take it up a notch and I go through and I let you know who's on title and what are the items that we actually have to address.
I appreciate that because sometimes like the email comes through with the prelim on it and then I'm busy. And so I look at it briefly and then I forget about it.
Yeah.
And then something comes up and it's like, well, it was on the prelim. It's like, well, I didn't, I should read every single one, but it is super helpful to have a partner who's like, hey, just so you know, nothing is interesting on this prelim. Don't waste your time. Standard, everything's good.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, there's a few things on here that we're going to need some attention to. Are you aware of these things? Has the borrower told you about these things? And I guess especially on like the listing side, because you'll open 100%. A lot of pre-listings
all the time,
which means the house is going to go on the market for sale, and the real estate agent who is representing the seller will pre-open escrow and get the title report. So that
no buyer yet.
No buyer yet.
To get a report to see. So that's very
to see what's there.
Super common. I just had one the other day where a lady was entitled as successor trustee. There was kind of like a problem with the chain, so we had to go back and we did a little bit of research with our title officer and figured out that with reviewing a full copy of the trust, we were able to find what we needed to see that she could proceed signing as successor. So it
can be very complicated for sure.
And having that done ahead of time and knowing that the person who's signed your listing and signing your contract is good to go.
Like, do they have the right to even sell this?
Do they have the right? Exactly.
So this leads to the conversation about, because you're trying to protect against fraud, because there's obviously stuff that happens by mistake. There's things that people thought one thing was right, but it's actually not technically right. You need to clean up with some documents. But the real kind of emphasis is to make sure that a fraudster isn't posing as a seller or posing as a buyer or a different party within the transaction and defrauding someone of money or property.
Exactly. Trying to sell their home out from underneath them.
Right.
And I just had one literally a week ago.
Okay, tell us about this.
So we had a pre-listing open, got a preliminary title report. So, and by the way, the agents have signed, listing agreements. So they had a party who had signed a listing to open the preliminary title report.
So this person was saying, I own this house.
Yes.
They met with the agent and said, hey, local agent.
Yep.
We want you to represent us on this sale.
100%. And the agent did all the due diligence that you would do to get your listing agreement signed.
Okay.
Because oftentimes we'll get emails, hey, I took a listing, let's open this up and get a prelim. And so we go forward. We proceed for
Sure.
our clients. So we got the preliminary title report, but what Fidelity does is if we cannot clearly see that the address that's on file for the owner is the same as the property, we send out what's called an absentee owner letter that's basically asking them, hey, are you selling this property? Are you selling this lot? And ding, 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 got a phone call from the husband
panicked.
and the wife.
Yes. Okay.
Two separate phone calls. Hey, I'm not selling my property. And actually, this is the real estate agent that I normally work with, which was not my party. They were obviously panicked. I told them I would, reach back out to the agent and have a conversation, which I did. It was handled beautifully. Nobody was upset. And the letter did its job.
That's wild.
The letter did its job. And I know that for a lot of people, when they worry, like, hey, well, why are you sending a letter to my person? We're not even in contract. It's that exact reason, Dan, because we want to avoid that. And Fidelity takes fraud. Fraud prevention is one of the biggest things that we will talk about over and over until we're blue in the face, because they are getting so creative with the ways that they try to commit fraud, whether it's these listings, wire fraud, interception of emails. We do not send any wire instructions out unsecurely. If people ask, we refuse. If they get upset, we say, it's company policy.
I like it because so on every one of our emails and a bunch of our communications, like wire fraud is real. Make sure you know who you're wiring money to. I was looking at some stats, like hundreds of millions of dollars a year
100%.
is lost by regular everyday people.
It's frightening.
Because they send a wire to the wrong place. They're in the middle of a transaction and all of a sudden an email or something pops up. It's like, hey, you're in contract on this house. Congratulations. By the way, our wiring information has changed. Send it to here. Mm-hmm. And they don't think twice about it. They go, cool. And they send it. And it's like, my guys, somebody's email is compromised. They're not interacting with the email besides reading it and then spoofing an email address or whatever.
100%. It's so frightening.
And being creative, it makes sense because then if you know their name, they know their social, they know all this information that's been passed, within the email. And then they're making up a fake email account that looks a lot like a title officer's. They're copying the email signature or the real estate agent or whoever.
Yeah.
And then they all of a sudden, they get a large wire. And we're seeing, some of our borrowers in this market, they're bringing in $1 million or more dollars.
Or 100%. Well, they bring in their earnest money, their initial deposit, and sometimes an increase. And then finally, when you get to the end, look at the purchase prices we have around Sonoma County.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, I can say, and I will give myself the humble brag for this. I've been doing this 25 years. I've never, ever taken a wire loss for a payoff or a deposit. I'm going to knock on some sort of wood here.
Exactly.
Studio. And I will say Fidelity is at the forefront of prevention. We actually have a really amazing portal called Start in Here. So let's say you are a real estate agent. You send me a contract. We send out a portal to your clients. We get their email and their cell phone number. The email comes from me. It's kind of an auto email, but it definitely has the escrow officer's email. I pick up the phone and I introduce myself to your clients so they don't get some weird email that looks like spam.
Right.
I want them to know who I am. I also give out my cell phone number to them and my office line because people are on the go.
Right.
They might need to get a hold of me, but I want them to know who I am and see my face and know who I am.
I have this conversation with my clients. I'm like, you need to call the escrow officer, have a conversation with them, hear their voice. And then if you do get an email, maybe it's legit. I don't know. I've never seen wire information change in the middle of a transaction, but let's just say it did. Call the number that you know is theirs, not the number on the email that they sent to you, because that's just redirecting to the scammers.
100%.
But call the number that you have from them or that I've given you, right? And hear Gina's voice and confirm.
Know who it is.
And know who it is.
I know who it is, yeah.
It's wild to me. I was just looking at, just a quick Google search. Apparently there was, there's millions of dollars every month. There's a new case and you can look it up online. But I guess there was just one where scammers compromised a seller's email and diverted proceeds from their sale. Mm-hmm. So this is basically they let the transaction happen as normal. And when the title and escrow company was dispersing the money after the sale closed, they had gotten into the seller's email address, emailed the title company and said, hey, our wire information has changed. Don't send the wire to the account number. I got you.
And they took it.
And they spent $4.1 million.
Oh, God, that
gone.
Makes my heart sink.
That's unbelievable. So you see it in all the emails. If you're in real estate or you're buying a house or refinancing a house, you'll see it in pretty much everyone's email. At the very bottom, it's like, wire fraud is real. Know who you're sending money to. Don't mess around with this. This is why. Hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars are lost every single day by scammers who are getting really good at spoofing email addresses and
we have a
acting.
protocol for sellers too, because think about sellers' proceeds. So if they sign with one of us in-house, we're obviously taking instructions from them. We're notarizing them in person.
Right.
That's obviously very efficient. So we're doing that in person.
Yep.
Let's just say somebody doesn't live here. They live in Arkansas. They need a mobile notary. We will only use a company-approved mobile notary service. You can't just go to like mom and pop UPS store where we don't know the people. We can't vet for them. And on top of that, when we get their information back, we pick up a phone and we make a phone call. Hey, we need to verify the information that you provided. Or, hey, this looks like maybe you're missing some information. And if there's anything that needs to be corrected or amended, we have to make notes. I usually will DocuSign, get a signature. And then on top of that, when we're sending out that wire, we have another person who re-verifies the information to make sure what I made sure was correct is correct. So it's like dual layer. And I'm very proud to work for Fidelity because working for a company that takes that seriously, I know that if I was a consumer and I was purchasing a home, even if I didn't work there, I would want to go through them to get a title policy because of the protections that they're taking for people.
It's so important, and I can only imagine like just the horror stories of people like, I saved my entire life to do this, and then money's gone.
And some people can get it back, and there's others that can't. And unfortunately, if it's gone and can't be recovered, it's gone.
That's it.
And I'm sure you heard because. FinCEN, right? The Financial Crimes Network.
Yeah.
We had a rollout March 1st where we were having to collect data for cash transactions for entity buyers like LLC corporations and trusts because it was anti-money laundering.
Right.
Because there's a lot of money laundering that goes through real estate, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's lots of ways that people are legitimizing illegitimate funds
but it lasted
through real estate.
18 days. There was a judge in Texas who struck it down, who said, there's not enough. It's a lot of data collecting, so they're trying to figure out.
They're saying it was an overreach by the agency who initiated and said, hey, this is beyond your scope, and you're not really allowed to ask for this amount of information.
100%.
So they're going back and they postponed it. So I was just looking up. So it's called FinCEN, FINCEN. It's a combination of the Investment Advisor AML rule and the Residential Real Estate Reporting rule. And these all got pushed back and delayed.
Yes. So for
implementation.
For now, we don't have to do the reporting. But the thing about our industry, which I think we've all learned over the years from when we had like CFPB and all the changes we've dealt with over the years, is we never know what's going to roll out, what's going to change. I think being working for a industry leader and being on the forefront of that and being ahead of that and being prepared for that and knowing, but also being able to speak with our clients and have conversations, to pick up a phone and communicate is the most important thing. We were just talking about AI before the show started and how that's kind of taking over a lot. I think nothing is going to replace good old-fashioned customer service ever.
No,
it's
I think
just not.
Yeah, knowing who you're working with, having a relationship with those people, super important. There's actually where I was like joking with some friends in the mortgage world that finally there's something that's impacting real estate that's not put on the lenders, because FinCEN, the AML rule really had to do with cash transactions for real estate, for realtors and title officers. Lenders weren't involved because if there's cash, like huge amounts of cash, we're not really involved in that. So I was like, oh great, and someone else has to do something because we've been the compliance arm for anti-money laundering 100%. Since the Patriot Act. I mean that's been since 2001, right after 9/11. So we had all these, customer verification protocols we had to do. You got to, basically we became the police of every dollar that gets sent around the world and in the banking world. And then we were held responsible for, any illegal activity like that. So we had to like all these different rules, and it was like, okay, finally someone else besides the bankers have to
and it was
take some
us.
responsibility.
And I will say I got lucky in that 3-week period. I did not, all of my transactions had lenders involved, but my manager had 11 11 of
cash.
them
Yeah.
in 3 weeks. And the amount of data gathering and information and the back and forth, I mean, tedious. So
Yeah.
I love to say, like, kind of off the hook for now, but who knows?
It'll come back.
It could come back. I'm sure
it will. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that you want to know where this cash is coming from, and you want to know like that because it is a way to like wash cash is to like put it through a real estate transaction and buy it all cash. And because if no one's asking questions about where the money came from, you can get it from anywhere.
Absolutely.
And for those who've watched like Ozark and all the,
I know. I was just thinking about all the TV shows you see on Netflix.
it's a very common trope that you you take a large sum of money, excuse me, and you utilize it to buy an asset like real estate, and then you can turn around and sell it, and now their money's washed.
I was thinking Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Walter White with the
Totally.
car wash.
Car wash. Same kind of idea.
Yeah.
So these rules have been in place for like retail banking, with the large deposit rules. If you're bringing in over a certain amount of cash into a local banking branch, they have to report that. And that just goes into like, is this normal activity for this person? Is it not normal activity? And there's all sorts that's been around forever and ever.
100%.
So this is like kind of an extension of that idea into real estate and that sort of thing. So that's on pause for now. So you can stay doing business as usual, I guess. But I'm confident that they'll go back and revisit that with that stay, and there'll be a new version of it that comes out with slight variations.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
And
what's collected and what's not.
We'll be ready when the time comes. And for some people too, they don't want to wire at all. So we have other options. So
yeah, what is the rule now? Because I've always been a fan of cashier's checks personally.
Yes.
Because it's like I go to the bank, I get a certified check, I walk it to the local office, I hand it to the escrow officer. They have the check scanner thingy, they put it right in right away, and
you can
done.
You can do that. So if it's your deposit, that's fine. You're getting a cashier's check, that's fine. If you are bringing in funds for closing, you need to make sure you get it to us 1 day prior to closing. We have to be able to bank it, and because of good funds laws.
Right.
So
1 day.
we need to be able to. Ideally, I tell people if they have a cashier's check, try to get it to me 2 days before.
So if we're closing on a Friday, you need the cashier's check by Tuesday, Wednesday?
I say Wednesday.
Wednesday.
If it's a wire, same day. Those are good funds.
Yeah.
The other option we have for earnest money, or what's often referred to as initial deposits, is a mobile deposit feature. So in that Start and Here portal we send out, there's a little mobile deposit feature
like a check
that's
scanner?
sent out.
That's
where
cool.
they can actually. So this is just for initial deposits.
Okay.
You can't use it for increases or for funds for closing. But it's kind of cool because it lets them write out the check to Fidelity and whatever the amount is of their deposit, and to take a picture, and then we get it securely. I actually get a little email alert when that comes over, and it's really convenient for people, especially and also people have to pay their bank wire fees. So I tell them whatever they're comfortable with, but if they want to avoid paying that bank fee, you do have other options. Or if you're really old fashioned, you just walk an old, personal check. If we have at least 10 business days for a check to clear. That's not for funds for closing, though, Dan. We cannot take
no personal checks.
No personal
for
checks
funds
for
close.
and
but
no
your 3%
money orders.
earnest money.
Yeah,
money orders.
No crypto. No, we get all sorts of crazy phone calls.
I forgot about this. I had one years ago. This is probably nine years ago, where the funds to close. It was a refi, but they had to bring in a little bit of cash because it was like tight ratios or whatever. But it was like $2,500 in funds to close, and they came in with like $500 money orders.
Oh.
And they were like, but these are good. I'm like, they're not.
They're not.
They're not.
They're not.
And they're like, well, I don't do business at a regular bank. And I'm like,
well,
okay. So we had to figure something out. So
something out.
we wound up figuring out a solution, but I forgot about that money order. Can't bring in a money order.
Yeah.
Cashier's checks, certified checks for funds to close 2 days. Let's say 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days for close of escrow. Wire same day.
Yes.
Okay.
Wire. That's good funds.
Yep.
And the cool thing too about our system is when I know what somebody is wiring in, I don't have to go online and look at my bank. I get the amount and I anticipate the wire in my system, and then I get this beautiful little email that tells me the funds are in. And usually, without them even prompting, I'll just say, hey, I got your funds. Because think about it, these people are wiring 20, 30, sometimes $100,000s of dollars. Wouldn't you want to know that your money safely made it?
Yep.
And I'm sending those email updates as we go.
Anytime I wire money, I'm like so nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it's a check, you can void it. You can do a stop payment or whatever.
Yep.
But a wire, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Very hard to get back.
We also have a tracking department that tracks all of our tax checks, our insurance checks, so what we consider high risk checks.
Okay.
We have a department that if they see that those checks have not been cashed within a certain period of time, they flag us. We reach out, we figure out why those checks, because tax checks obviously can be hit with penalties.
Yep.
And insurance. Let's
cancel policies.
Cancel policies. Yeah. Think about what happened.
I had that happen at a prior
Scary.
bank I worked for, where they were servicing the loan, and the borrower, we had it in pounds, so that means the lender was paying the taxes and insurance for them, and they got a insurance cancellation notice and a forced placement notice that kind of happened at the same time, and they're like, "Wait a second, the lender is sending me a notification of forced placed insurance." But they're the ones who are supposed to pay to renew the policy. What in the world's happening? And it just was like literally they wrote a check to the insurance company. It got lost somehow.
Oh, gosh.
And no one called. No one did anything.
No one did anything.
Until
sat there.
And sat there until she got this, really nasty letter.
Yeah.
And then she wound up figuring it all out. And they did a stop payment and reissued the check and reinstated the policy. But she was freaked. She texted me freaking out like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. We got to call servicing. Let's get on the phone." Anyway. A lot of complexities in all these things. So fraud is a big deal. The FinCEN postponement, that's a big deal. What else is happening right now in the title world that is title and escrow world that's meaningful to a consumer?
I think just us kind of getting back to, like I said, those conversations. We're able to talk to our real estate agents and mortgage brokers. We have, the time right now. I actually... People are talking about the market changing. I'm busier than I've ever been. So
really?
I think this month is my best month I've had with the company.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
We're seeing big peaks and valleys.
Yeah, it is peaks and valleys.
We had our pipeline was full 2-3 weeks ago. We're like, oh my gosh, look at all this. And then everything happened with the rates and the war in the Middle East and all sort of stuff. And then just dried up. We funded a bunch of stuff and now it's building back up. I think we got 3 or 4 new deals going in the last day. But I was nervous. I was like, we're down 100%. In single-digit deals. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen a pipeline like this in years.
Everybody gets nervous when we go through those ebbs and flows. But I think when you're in the down of those peaks and valleys, it's the education, it's getting out there. I know that you're really big into networking.
Yeah, I've done more networking. That's true.
Taking those opportunities, we have had a lot of people contacting us lately to kind of refresh their farming. So what a farm is, it's where an agent or a lender reaches out for our customer service to kind of farm a certain area that they're trying to target. Maybe they want to do a mailing. So depending on your location and who the sales representative is in that area, we can connect you with a sales rep who can work with you and to help you farm to build your business.
Yeah, totally.
So, and I will say our customer service rep, Jalifa, shout out. She's amazing.
Jalifa's great. I've worked with her a bunch.
Amazing.
Yes.
She has worked for the company for 25 years. She is local customer service. She's she's in
Santa Rosa, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
She's incredible and has never I've sent her requests at literally 5 to 5 and gotten them back same day. And obviously, she gets tied up with projects and things, but she will always reach out. If we have, agents we work with directly that have a lot of customer service, they know that they can go to her directly once they establish their relationship. So
I've always used Fidelity products. I always liked the Title Toolbox and the Passport products. Really like those. And Jalifa has worked on a bunch of farms for me. So if you're not familiar with farming, essentially what it means is you can look at a specific neighborhood and market directly to that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You can look at different types of profiles. So absentee owners. So if the mailing address on the property record is not the subject property address, that means that the mail's going somewhere else. So it's probably an investment property or second home. So you can mail to those people. You can mail empty nesters. Mm-hmm. So 4 or more bedrooms that's been owner occupied for at least 20 years. That kind of means that their family cycle has probably gone through. They have a bunch of empty bedrooms. If you're looking for downsize type of business or downsize type of clients. So there's, depending on what your profile is or what your target client is, your title escrow officer can help you with the tools that they have to do the research and figure out who these people are that you want to be getting in front of. And then because of all the public information that's out there, they can help you find email addresses and phone numbers and all sorts of other things to help you get in touch with them. And I know lots of realtors that are utilizing all those tools, and they are finding massive amounts of business and opportunity.
100% they are.
And it's
100%.
great.
And it's great.
It's a cool tool.
And the apps and the tools. So we have apps that can help you put together a net sheet. I will say, I love the apps. I do think to get like a polished net sheet from an escrow officer, like over the weekend, if you're in a pinch and you need something, throw it together. That's fine.
I never use like the easy fees stuff. Like because I'm always like, there's too much nuance to it. And I would rather just wait till Monday to talk to my person and just,
I'm old school in that way too. Yeah. Cause I'll, if you call me for a sheet and you don't have a refinance open yet, hey, what's the address? What's your client's name? So I can kind of make it look pretty for you.
Totally.
I can look up the taxes. I can see if I need to add anything for you onto it. So I like that old school approach. Just kind of get something in your email that's specific for that client. But we can do that too. But that is a good tool to have to do the net sheets. But I think I was telling you this before the show. I don't mind. Like I give out my cell phone like I'm giving out like candy on Halloween. I pass it out to you guys, I give it to your clients. And sometimes people think I'm crazy for doing that, but I will tell you the amount of positive feedback I get by giving it out is really huge. Yep. And I know you do the same.
Yeah, I've always used my cell phone number. I don't understand why people... I guess I get it. They want a separation, but the thing is, you just put on silent. You don't have to. You don't have to answer it just because you get a text at 11 p.m. and you happen to be awake. Doesn't mean that you have to respond. Like, put your phone on silent, and it's just like an answering machine.
I've never had anybody.
Answering machine, by the way.
I know. I've never had anybody take advantage of it. No. I think that my clients that I work with that work with me all the time, they know that it's just another avenue, another way they can get a hold of me. And sometimes it's easier. They're out in the field. Real estate agents are busy, like feet on the pavement. They aren't in front of their email. So what I'll do is I'll send that beautiful, hey, we're on record email, but I'll shoot my people I know a text, hey, just in case you didn't see the email. That way they know they can go swap keys.
They can cut and paste that and copy it and send it to their clients.
Like you're not always in front of your email.
It's good customer service. We're all on the go. And like you and I both rely on realtor relationships for our business. Like we're getting our business from the same people. So I think it's important that we're meeting them where they are. I have some realtors that always want to meet in person. They want to get together and have coffee. Great. We can do that. I have others that I've worked with for years that I've never met in person.
Oh, yeah. Totally. 100%.
Like people that are like close friends of mine.
That you've never
that I've
had
never
that
actually met in person. We met through a transaction. We talk weekly, if not more. But that we're mostly, texting and emailing.
Behind the scenes.
Which is cool. So yeah, I think it's like, depending on where your clients are and what they're doing, like you need to meet them where they are. And everyone texts now, and everyone has everyone's cell phone number. You can like Google people and find their cell number. So it doesn't really, it's not a secret.
It's on my business card. Like I said, same. I had people who were like, there were a couple of people who were like, you're insane. People are going to take advantage of that. And they don't. Like it. And
it's up to you to hold the boundary. If you don't want to answer on a Saturday, great, don't. But if you see something come in from one of your beloved agents and you're like, I got a minute, I can respond to this. That's cool. But, I don't think anyone has the expectation that you're going to respond on a Sunday night. Yeah. But if a lot of
times I do though.
But if you happen to, they're appreciative. And if you want to build loyalty, that's a good thing.
A lot of times I do. And I, like I said, I don't think anyone's ever taken advantage of it. I'm happy to do it. And the reason I like giving it out, to their clients too, I get so many questions about that Start and Hair portal, about the wire fraud stuff. And sometimes they are at their job until 5:00. And so if I'm not physically, and a lot of times I'm there, if I'm there a little bit past 5 or whatever, but if I'm not, they can reach out to me. They're not stuck trying to go through a process like, hey, I'm a first-time home buyer. I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you help me with this? They have another avenue to reach me, so they're not stuck in limbo.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the biggest thing, customer service. And I know like you take that so seriously with what you do and how you help people. So
yeah, I mean, it's very common for me to have evening meetings. Like I try to tell everyone like from 5 to 7:30ish, I'm trying to be with the kids.
Me too.
Spend time, dinner, bath, bedtime. It's kind of like our very special, we sit at the dinner table every night together.
So do we.
It's really important to me and to the family. But at 8:00, you only need to talk because you worked until 6 or 7 or whatever. I totally get that. And I'm happy to talk to people after standard business hours because it's our job to meet with them when they have time. Yeah, and if their time is Saturday, then their time's Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't, necessarily want to do that every week because I want to do other things with the kids and the family. But as needed, that's what you got to do to take good care of people. Otherwise, we're no better than the, online 9 to 5 only, not local service provider.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Anyway. I think there's a lot of really interesting topics. I think like the wire fraud one and other types of fraud, we could probably do like hours and hours of it. Do you have any other stories about like common fraud situations that you guys are trained on or that you've seen locally?
Yes. So this wasn't at Fidelity. This was at my former title company. I actually stopped a case of elder abuse, which is a very, very common type of fraud that occurs. So it can occur in different ways. A lot of times it's just as simple as, somebody posing as somebody to try to, get access to their inheritance or whatnot. But a lot of times it comes in the way of people trying to force people to sign things like power of attorney so they can sign on their behalf. And in this case, it was an uninsured deed situation. So again, I think I mentioned a little earlier, uninsured deed is basically when a deed is done at the county and recorded and done without title insurance. So not done through a title insurance transaction. So we question those. They come up. You may see
because anyone could go do that, right? You can walk to the county recorder office right now, pay your $20, and you can record whatever you want to record.
You can, and then it becomes part of that chain of title.
Right.
So in this case, there was an uninsured deed. Sometimes you may see preliminary title reports that say subject to item number, yada yada. So I called this lady, and immediately it was weird. I got that gut feeling, and I always say like, go with your gut. You know that feeling. She was so petrified to sign our form. And then as we kind of started peeling back layers, we found out that this lady who was trying to help her was her caregiver. And I guess the caregiver's son had been like forcing this poor lady to go to like the ATM weekly and get out money for payments and things. It was a whole thing. So we actually had to turn this case in. It went way above my pay grade. I think there's like an elder abuse, fraud, crimes, network. So it went to them, but obviously we halted the transaction, and it was a pretty sizable. It was a refinance. It was a hard money loan, and that's hard to call your client and say, hey, we have to, pull the plug on this. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is making sure we're diverting these people. And so we're not doing these things to make your client's life more difficult. Right. Like there's another thing that we have for absentee owners where we actually have to use a system called MyTech. We get a little selfie of them and a picture of their ID, and then we pull a report and we ask them questions that they would only be privy to, that they would only know for either the person who passed or for them. I usually don't get a lot of, pushback from the clients themselves. The pushback I get the most is from some of the agents.
Right.
Why do you have to ask my clients these things?
Well,
we're doing it to protect them.
Right. It's like the dual authentication. Yeah. Everyone's annoyed when you wait for the code to log into something, but it's there to protect you and to make sure that someone isn't logging in as you, essentially. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense that you have to go do your due diligence to make sure that you have the proper person in front of you that's like legally allowed to sign the documents. They have capacity. I was just thinking about the elder abuse. See that a lot in banking. I've actually seen a few of those cases in lending where, like similar situation where family members like really pressuring an elderly person to do a huge cash out refinance. Yeah. And I'm like, what's the purpose of this money? Yep. And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Like, what are you doing with the cash? Yep. Because there's on our form, is it for debt consolidation, home improvement? There's rehab. Lots of reasons just because they're going to go on vacation. I don't care what the reason is, but tell me the reason, and just couldn't really answer me. So we had again, get some people involved, get legal involved, start talking about it. Yeah. And at the end, we decided that we weren't going to do that transaction, that they could do it somewhere else, but we were not going to take on a deal like that.
I think having people who are willing to do that and do the right thing and have that moral high ground, for me, those are the type of people I want to surround myself and be working with. I can say I don't know exactly how many years total you've been doing this. Like I have to go back and think when you started.
It's going to be 10 years in this industry in June.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Almost happy anniversary.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I started 25 years ago, and I think that the people that you work with, because I know that you've probably encountered one or more of these people in your 10-year career, where there are the people who are willing to push go
100%.
and don't care and want to break the rules because at the end of the day, it's the paycheck in their pocket. And for me, I can't sleep at night if I know someone's grandmother is going to be losing her life savings because of her, greedy grandchildren. Like I'm not willing to put my moral high ground on the line just to close an escrow.
Not at all.
It's not.
Yeah. For me, it's very clear. I think there are some like guidelines and lending rules that have some gray area interpretation, and I'm willing to play in the gray area. Right, because it was like, okay, well, it can be what are the compensating factors for us to approve this credit? Like, happy to go down that road, and to present the case of why we should do a deal. And then there are things that are black and white, and it's wrong and right for me. And it's like, if you cross that threshold, I'm just 0% interested in even being involved in it. And furthermore, it's like, hey, I don't want to be around those type of people. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it's like a stink that gets on you that you can't get off.
100%.
And I lose sleep about lots of things. I don't want to lose sleep about that.
No, you want to be able to know that you're doing the right thing for your clients.
100%.
And Fidelity has taken that stance all across the board, from the start of the escrow, from the wire fraud starting here, the phone calls, the conversations, the taglines on the emails, the conversations we're continuing to have throughout the escrow. And that's why working, with a good mortgage broker, a good escrow company, a backed company that's, nationally known, a local company, people being able to walk in to come see you, Dan, is priceless because they're working with people in Timbuktu.
I do business mostly in this area in like Sonoma County, Marin. I also do some in Oregon, Washington. I'm licensed there.
We cannot do out-of-state transactions.
But I will tell you,
Fidelity and other
Fidelity
states
does,
can,
but you have to go.
I cannot. I can.
So
do
that
it
leads me
California.
to my point. I am so grateful for the title officers and escrow officers that we have here, because in other places, not to name names, but in other places, it takes them 10 days, 12 days to get back to me with simple, like I don't get a prelim for a week and a half.
That's frightening.
It's unbelievable. And I don't know why. We've tried multiple companies. We've tried different escrow officers and other places, and it is like pulling teeth to get information from them. I understand there's different complexities. There's different research that has to happen. I totally understand that. The customer service that we have in general in our escrow world here is phenomenal. Wow. Like as compared to other places in the state and the country where I've worked. Wow. We're very, very fortunate. We have great people and great companies that are responsive, that get back to us. And when I say, hey, this is a 12-day escrow. Yeah. Like I need this information.
Better rush on the prelim
today.
for you.
Right. Like I need this information. I need the fees right now. I need the prelim tomorrow, and they just hop to it and they get it done is so nice. And you just know that you can have those tight timelines to help your clients win. And I specifically tell my realtors, I'm like, hey, we can do a tight timeline, but you have to make sure that the title officer that you're using is excellent. And if you don't have somebody, let me tell you who to write in. Yep. Because if I'm going to commit to doing a 12-day close, that's putting a strain on me and my team. I can make that happen, but we can't be delayed by an escrow officer who's not paying attention. Yep. So, if you're listening and you are in the sales aspect as a realtor or real estate agent, please, please, please make sure that whoever you're writing in on those tight escrows knows that the deal is coming and can actually fulfill it. And if they're going to go on vacation in the middle of that escrow, that you know who you're talking to, that's going to be able to take up at the same level. And assistants are great, but who is the manager that we can go to if we hit a road bump, because we don't have time to wait. I can't wait for you to get back. I can't wait for the assistant to call the manager, to call this. I need answers now.
So I got a contract last night at I think it was 4:30, something like that. I got everything out and I emailed the lender, and there's a first and a second. She needed fees, but we had a question about the contract kind of in relation to the fees. So I actually knew I was coming on your show today and made sure that I pass that email over to another escrow officer in my office to say, hey, I don't want to wait until I'm done sitting here with Dan to get fees out, because as Dan, you very well know, getting the fees disclosed on a new contract is huge. I hold myself to a very tight timeline with that. When I see those emails come over, it's, unless I know I'm going into a signing, I stop everything else I'm doing to get the fees out. It's
super important because it's all trickle down, right? So I need the fees so that I can send the disclosures. I need to send the disclosures so I can have the intent to proceed. I need the intent to proceed so I can order the appraisal. And what does the realtor care about? Getting the appraisal ordered day one. I can't do that until I've done all these other steps, right? So I guess you can, but then there's some reasons you can't charge. Anyway, there's technicalities as why you can, but we don't. We disclose, we get intent to proceed before we order an appraisal.
But if you're waiting, if you're sitting on an email waiting for hours, and the escrow person you're working with is a person who's not going to respond right away, you can't disclose to your party. Same thing when we get the closing disclosure and you're trying to get docs out and you're not getting a response. It's crickets.
Oh,
you know the people too. And I hate that. I wish it was all I wish all of us worked the same. And some of us, I think, are more impassioned to do so.
And I totally understand, especially like I call them like crash landing deals where I'm like, hey, look, we're closing Friday. It's Thursday afternoon. I don't have docs out yet because it's a rescue. There's complications. Like, please be on the lookout for our balancing email so then we can get these docs out, because I know that you need them now, but I can't make them go any faster. I've already called in the rush. They're working on them. I can see that the doc drawer is in the file, but I don't have any control over how much coffee they drank today and how quickly they're moving.
Yeah, and see, if you called me with that phone call, my first question would be, okay, I'm going to call the real estate agent. If I don't already know where these people live, or maybe they're on vacation, where are they?
Where are we signing?
Can I potentially secure or place hold a mobile notary, or have them place hold with me pending the docs, knowing that we may need to change it? Are we going?
And so many escrow officers will be like, I'm not doing anything until I get the docs. And now it's like, okay, I get why. I get it. But if it's every single deal, I understand why you'd be frustrated. But I'm like, look, I got a rescue deal, 8 days ago, and I'm trying to get the docs out right now.
We have to be careful with mobile notaries, because if it gets too close to the time frame, they can still charge the client. So I am mindful of that. But as far as just kind of, or working with you, like, hey, we're down to the wire, like, no pun intended. But these people literally have to go to the bank. Okay, Dan, are we going to pad the amount so these people can just wire what we need? Because we're trying to close tomorrow and our funding cut off. Knowing those things, knowing the lender you're working with.
Communicate, work together. Hey, we didn't balance exactly. Let's have them bring in an extra $1,500.
Oh, I get an email. So in my file, every single file, because I know the lenders, there's certain lenders that don't require it. They do balancing at closing or funding. There are some that you have to be like to the penny, like Rocket Mortgage is one where they release docs once you know you're balanced to the penny. Certain lenders work differently, so you kind of get to know and you're tailored, but you have to know your players, your parties. Who are your processors? Who am I talking to? And also, I'm sure this has happened to you many times, where you say in the beginning, hey, can you copy my processor, this and that? And then you go get a prelim 3 days later and they don't put your processor on it because they forgot to add them to the file. It happens a lot.
And I forward it on. I'm like, hey.
Same thing with us. This is my assistant and you're not. So it's just paying attention to those little details which seem little, but they're not.
So for people in the industry, you'll know this, like how many people wind up getting copied on some of those final emails, because it's like the escrow officer, their assistant, their team email, which goes to both of them, right? The funder, the doc drawer, the loan officer, the processor. Like there's like 9 people on this email. And it just winds up, my inbox gets filled with, thanks so much, thank you. It's so funny.
Because all the things.
Because everyone is involved.
Well, at least everyone's polite.
We get it to the finish line, and everyone's like, yes. Anyway, thank you so much for coming back on and chatting. We are kind of right at our time here because we can just keep talking about stuff. But I appreciate you. So, Gina, I'll make sure that your contact information is in the show notes. And if you are looking for an amazing escrow officer to work with, please reach out to Gina anywhere in California, I guess.
Yeah, anything that's insurable in the state of California, but we can handle pretty much every county. So, I mean, there are caveats. Every title company has that, but
But primarily Sonoma, Marin, Napa counties, San Francisco area. You're great. Thank you so much for all your time, and thanks for being here on By the Bay.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate. Hit subscribe now if you haven't already. Did you enjoy this episode? We love reviews in the Apple Podcasts app. We'll read yours on the show. This is